the Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast.
Okay. All right. So joining me for today's podcast on the Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast is Mr. Gary Hassay. Gary, nice to see you.
Hi, good evening.
And so you are the founder of Real Boardman Talk, is that correct?
Yeah, actually, I'm a co-founder. Me and Chris Anderson started the club about 2 years ago, and we are growing to about 1,800 members. We are a club that tries to have neighborly discussion about all things Boardman, and we're constantly revamping and revising how we do that. And it's on Facebook.
Right, yes, it is on Facebook, and there are a lot of popular talk forums for all of our local communities, but I think that you guys have really kind of put yourselves head and shoulders above the rest recently, just because I've seen some real moderation going on, a real attention to detail, and a caring about the, let's say, founding principles and guiding principles of the forum. So congratulations to you on that.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that.
So I know personally when I was trying to just do a regular solicitation for people to come look at my podcast, you're like, well, you're just going to have to wait till Saturday because that's where we lump in all you spammers, unless it's Boardman specific.
Well, you know what? We're a little sensitive to that because we've been getting some feedback from everybody. So we're trying a format this week. We're going to see how it goes. But yeah, ultimately, we live in Boardman. You know, not every Boardman group has their moderators living in Boardman. Some of them are out of town people that run the group. So I think because we live in the community, we treat these people as if they're our neighbors, and because they are our neighbors, and we just want to make sure that we create a nice online experience for everything. We're constantly trying to see how we can improve that, and we go from there. You know, we just try to do the best we can.
And that's
not perfect at it, but we keep going.
No, but the fact that you're trying means that like people are kind of done with the kind of junk that they end up seeing on a lot of these groups. And I gotta say, This was really clever. I saw another Boardman Talk page come up and I joined it. And one of the questions or the rules was you are not allowed to mention Sonic or a Cheesecake Factory or you get kicked out of the group. And I was like,
oh, they actually made a group for that? They actually made a rule for that?
They made a rule for it. So I was like, that is progress I can believe in right there.
I set up a notification, so if it's mentioned, I get a notification about it.
Are you serious? That's awesome.
Yeah, I actually had to make a post about that because the problem is some people ask legitimate questions and they just want to get an answer, and I don't want 50 people saying Sonic or Cheesecake Factory. You know, it's just not a good experience for everyone. Or Coyotes or Wagon Wheel. And it's not that we can't have a discussion about those things, but if it's not relevant to the question that's being asked, we kind of ask not to do that. It's not a very neighborly thing to do. You know, if I went to my neighbor and asked for some information and they said Coyotes, yes, regardless of what the question I asked, it's not, you know, so we try to make our group a little bit like how you would actually talk to somebody in person for the most part. You know, how a normal, decent human being would talk to another normal, decent human being in real life. And so yeah, so some people like it and that's why they come. And again, we're not trying to be the only community group where we kind of share a space with other groups and just try to do the best we can.
I think everyone is really looking for a more troll-free existence nowadays. You know, I think COVID pushed so many people online who weren't online for the majority of their day into that space. And then they started interacting with all of the unfortunate realities of being online. And some people still have to remain online for so many things nowadays and need to communicate and do want to get in touch with their neighbors, but might not be willing to go door to door as they used to. So knowing that they're going to have a semi troll free experience when they're going to a certain group or whatever is definitely reassuring.
Yeah, and you know, there is absolutely a time and a place to have a little bit more of a provocative stance and to say something that's not necessarily done in a nice way. I understand that, and there's plenty of places to do that online. I say in the group all the time, you may see me in some of those places. So I don't expect a perfection out of people. I just expect that when we all come in the group, we try to do the best we can to create a nice experience for everybody. And and try to keep it neighborly is what I always say, to try to make it a neighborly place to discuss things that are Boardman related. And it's been we've had very good membership growth, and we've had very good membership growth as well as member involvement. Like, of our 1,800 members, the vast majority of them regularly check in, regularly interact with our content, regularly post content. And I don't think that, at least from what I've seen in some other groups, even ones with a larger membership base than what we have, they have a lot of members, but it generally seems to be the same small cadre of people that are out there. So I don't necessarily know if everybody's really tuned into those groups quite the way that our members are. You know, we try to really create a group.
Well, it's very possible that some antics or hijinks that maybe certain ones are known for have pushed people away from constantly interacting with them and getting the benefits that they might be getting otherwise.
Yeah, I think we do get a membership wave every now and then, and I wonder what's going on that causes that. But we do get little waves of 15, 20 people that all come in all within a day or within a couple of hours, and I always wonder what's going on for that. But yeah, there's always a place for that stuff. There's actually some groups in Boardman that are specifically geared for you not bringing your best behavior, that you bring in your worst behavior, and there's always a platform for that. So if we're not what you're looking for, that's perfectly fine. There's something else out there. There's a way to connect with your community however you want to do it in an online space.
Yeah, and it's all contextual, right? Like you said, sometimes that can be the topic, but if it's not,
right,
then yeah, try to keep it on message.
I
know for this podcast, I am really hoping that sometime in the hopefully not too distant future, we're actually able to get some real town halls or forums together. That is like my dream, because like taking the online space and the online discourse into reality is that next step that brings us back to what a lot of people would consider normalcy, and that will also have that forced decency and communal regard for one another put back into the fore.
Well, and that's, things like what you're doing and what we're doing in group, these are community based. So a lot of things on the internet are internet based. You're connecting with people who agree with you on a facet or several facets of your life, and they're not necessarily in your geographical area. And so that's a little bit different than what things like what we're doing are doing, because our thing is everybody who lives in the area. And so, yeah, that means we have to approach subjects a little bit differently. We have to approach discourse a little bit differently, because it's not some nameless, faceless person on the other side of the earth that you're talking to. It's somebody that might be living 2 streets over, that you might see at Giant Eagle, they might be at Boardman Park, so these are people that, that's at least who we're targeting. I mean, I don't know how people who aren't interested in Boardman would be interested in any of our group content.
Absolutely.
I mean, we did have a person whose last name was Boardman, and she joined because she just was thrilled that there was a town named after her. And, of course, anybody is welcome. I just don't know, but our subjects are going to be Boardman, Ohio. So whether or not you're interested in that, you're welcome to come in as long as you want to talk about that stuff.
So what types of posts do you see getting put up the most by others, not by the moderators? And what do you think overall are like the ones that get the most engagement currently?
Some of the, there are some moderator posts that we put up. I put up some regular posts just to keep conversation going. Wednesdays, I put up a poll post about random topics. Sometimes many times they're just lighthearted things like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And then we vote on whether it's a sandwich or not, or things like of a light nature. However, sometimes we talk about serious subjects and we bring that up to have a more difficult conversation, but we have it in the group. Coming from the members, a lot of it are questions about the operations of the town. They ask for recommendations, contractor recommendations or good places to eat. So they ask for recommendations, and then we all talk about what we like. Problems facing the township as well as individuals, we see a lot of that. News, we see a lot of news that comes in here, so we could talk about that in group. So generally things like that. Personally, I think the recommendations are one of the nicest things that we have for a community group like what we have in Real Boardman Talk, because you're actually talking to your neighbors about things that you need and your experience with other people, and you don't necessarily get that from a Google review. Sometimes you do, but in our group you can ask a follow-up question and get a response from them or a response from somebody else. And so I do think our when people ask for recommendations, I think that's great. We do get a few mutual aid requests every now and then, so people who have a problem that we specifically ask for them on Mondays. We started opening up the floor for that, but when people have something that they would like help with, they can reach out to the group and see how people can help. I've been able to help out a little bit on those, and others help out as well. So just basically anything that you would, many things that you would do in an in-person capacity with talking to people. If you were to go door to door, what are some things you would talk about with your neighbors? We can also do that in the group.
Is this the first page that you have moderated?
This is the first group I've moderated. I have done
Okay.
some other pages. I mean, this group actually came, originally as a protest because we didn't really like what we were seeing with other community groups. And now it's kind of just, it's not so much of a protest thing, but just this is what we're doing. And this is how we're, finding our little niche in the greater fabric of what you can get news from, regarding your neighbors. So yeah, this is the first group that I've moderated, or that I moderated, and I'm very, they make the job very easy for me. This is a hobby that I enjoy doing. I enjoy talking to neighbors. I enjoy finding things out. Sometimes there's questions that are asked, and I offer to do some legwork and find some information and then bring it back to the group so people know what's going on. But all of that's very interesting, finding out that there's problems going on in the neighborhood that I didn't know anything about, so finding that stuff out and then say, oh, okay, well, what can we do about that? What are, flooding is a big problem that we're having in Boardman. What's
Huge.
being done about that? So we're trying to keep a better eye on what the ABC Water District is doing and how they're, what are they doing? When are they going to do it? How do we make things a little bit better for people? What are the larger things causing the flooding? We've had some discussions about that. I personally am a little concerned. Maybe our economic development might be contributing to that. So that's something, and again, I don't know, but I'd like to get some more information about that. But it's just basically having conversations with people just like you would in an in-person context. It's just we're doing it online, and we contribute as we have the time available to do so.
I was going to say, is it more time than you thought when you signed up for it, or less? Or?
It's actually less time than what I thought, and it's even less because I have a nice group of people who help run it. We have, Chris and I have another admin, Josh Boyle, and then we also have 3 moderators, Abigail Wabago, Dwayne Lockworth, and Danielle Fox. And so there's 6 of us that do this, and we talk to each other on a group chat do and how we respond to specific issues. But for the most part, everybody kind of agrees to what we're doing here. If you want to be a community troll, there's forums for that. You don't have to come here and be a troll. There's plenty of places to be a troll, and
the entire internet save a couple spaces.
You may see me being a troll, and so I don't want to surprise people if they see me in local news media and my comments are a little bit more pointed and a little bit more trolly than they are in the group, where I'm not, but that's who we are. All I'm saying is that in the group we try to be as neighborly as we can, and bring your whole self and discuss things from the worldview as you see it.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's great that you are providing a little bit of that connective tissue that's, bringing the Boardman community that much closer together. Certain, other communities around the area would be much well served if they were able to produce something very similar to what you've got going on. I don't see it.
And they can. Yeah, they can. I mean, that you just have to want to. and you just work with the people in the group to say, here are the things that we want to do, and get buy-in. Ultimately, this isn't something that I'm imposing. This is something that we as a group have decided that that's what we want to do. And the members are very good at catching when I sometimes fall short. I'm not perfect, so sometimes I misapply the rules. Sometimes I don't follow the rules, and I like to be told when I miss the mark, because I'm not perfect. And we do a very good job of holding each other accountable and trying to make the experience as good as we can.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you continued success. And just like this podcast, I'm hoping that people continue to go back because they find you to be a reasonable source for information and opinions.
Well, great. Well, it was nice talking to you. I wish your podcast a lot of luck. I've already subscribed and looking forward to listening to them when they come out.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to try and get this one on your page if we can't get it past the moderators.
Sure.
Know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. You know what? We're gonna try a more open. I'm putting this on recording, so we'll see if it goes. But on Saturdays, we're gonna try to open it up to just more than just solicitations. We're gonna have a grab bag of any topic that you want to talk about on Saturday. We're going to let solicitation posts through. Ultimately, we're going to see how that feedback is. So I've asked everybody, let's try it this week. And then on Sunday, we're going to have a discussion about how it worked and if we want to keep doing that. But yeah, I mean, feel free to participate, give feedback. We all, what we do now is not what we always do. So we will, but hopefully we always try to keep it as a neighborly place and just keep doing the best we can. I know I keep saying that, but that's ultimately what you have to do. Just try to bring the best that you can, take some feedback and improve.
That's right. And just making the effort is 1,000 times more important than anything else. Failure is okay, but as long as you are still keeping the lines of communication open, that means there is always a chance to further the dialogue and the understanding.
Great. That's
all right.
Exactly what we're trying to do.
Thank you so much. We will talk to you soon.
Great. Have a great night.
You too.